accompanied by Edith's whoops of encouragement. The shop was small but immaculately clean, and Madame Lucille had given the two ladies a tour. Alexandra was relieved to see cheery seamstresses in the back work areas, all talking among themselves as they plied their needles. Madame Lucille had then showed them into the small fitting room, far smaller than in the shops that the Duke had insisted Alexandra patronize, then excused herself to locate the bolts of fabric she wanted to make up Alexandra's new post-mourning wardrobe. The wardrobe she would wear, all the while hoping Harriet would find a man, eventually, with whom she would fall in love, not make a strategic dynastic pairing. When Harriet spoke about her season, she talked about meeting new people and seeing as much of London as she could, and didn't seem to want to get married right away. Alexandra felt a fizzing awareness of her future, something she hadn't had since before she was married. She'd wear as many colours as possible, drink champagne with insouciance, or souciance if she felt like it, and generally behave as she wished to, not as others wished her to. Perhaps even take a third biscuit, if the biscuits were particularly delicious and she was feeling decidedly peckish. Once her daughter was safely and well taken care of course. Until then, she would have to maintain her Duchess facade, but clad in colours and fabrics she chose. And she would never allow anyone to make a decision for her. Losing her freedom again, even if she did the unthinkable and fell in love with someone, would be untenable. Two of the young seamstresses remained in the room, on hand for any assistance if needed. Both of them seemed overwhelmed by having an actual duchess in their midst, even if Alexandra was now just a dowager duchess. Alexandra took the scissors the shorter of the two workers handed her, then directed her attention to putting her fingers in the appropriate places, pointing the sharp edge of the shears at her neckline, which caused one of the two workers to emit a startled squeak. The neckline was uncomfortably high, and the black bombazine fabric was stiff and unyielding. Rather like my late husband, Alexandra thought. She nearly shared the quip with Edith, but she didn't want to scandalize the seamstresses. The metal of the scissors was cool against her heated skin, and she uttered an involuntary gasp before positioning herself awkwardly so she could cut. The first close of the scissors wasn't the triumphant action Alexandra was hoping for. The fabric of her gown was apparently too determined to withstand the scissors' onslaught. But then she clamped her jaw and readjusted her grip, and the scissors bit into the unforgiving material, the two sides falling away as Alexandra continued the downward motion. She was strong enough to overcome the obstacle of something that was stiff and unyielding. The snap of the scissors and the whispered shush of the fabric were the only sounds in the room. Until finally, she reached the bottom, cutting through the ruffled hem and sighing in satisfaction as the two halves of the gown fell apart, revealing her undergarments, a stark white against the dull black of her outer garment. Still holding the scissors in one hand, she straightened, tugging the two sides of the gown apart, until they were on her body only because of the sleeves encasing her arms. She turned to hand the scissors back to the worker, then began to slide the sleeves off, biting her lip in anticipation. No more black, no more mourning. Bravo! Edith cheered. Alexandra looked at her stepdaughter's face and grinned in response. This calls for a celebration, she added, a mischievous look on her face. You've got one night before the rest of the family arrives and the season starts. Let's have some fun. Theodore Osborne plucked the last sheet of paper on the left of his desk, laid it directly in front of him, scanned it, then picked up his pen and signed his name with a flourish. He picked up the paper and perched it atop the enormous stack on the right, emitting a sigh of satisfaction. He leaned back in his chair, folding his hands behind his head. It was done, for today at least. And when he married the Duke of Chelmsworth's sister, he would have accomplished all his late father wished for him.